My name is Danielle Martinez. I'm 52 years old, and I didn't know my life was about to split cleanly into a before and an after until 11:23 a.m. on a Thursday, while I was sitting in my accountant's office pretending to listen to a discussion about quarterly depreciation schedules. I was halfway through nodding politely when my phone vibrated against the polished wood table. Once. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. That second vibration carried weight, instinct maybe, or experience. At my age, you learn the difference between meaningless noise and the kind that changes things. I glanced down. The message was from Melissa Hartley, my business partner of 8 years, 48 years old, co-founder. The woman who had been sitting across from me in boardrooms, smiling for press photos, and quietly poisoning the well for months. The text read, "I withdrew $847,000 from your secret offshore account for my startup. You're welcome." I stared at it, not because I was confused, but because I was trying very hard not to laugh. Across from me, Greg, my accountant of over a decade, was explaining something about tax exposure. He stopped mid-sentence when he saw my expression change. "Everything okay?" he asked. I looked back at the phone, then up at him, and I laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a shocked one, a genuine slow laugh that startled even me. "Melissa just stole $847,000, I said calmly. Greg blinked. "What?" "From the account the FBI set up to catch whoever's been skimming from our federal contracts." His coffee mug froze halfway to his mouth. "The Honeypot account?" I nodded. "Yep." Silence stretched between us. 6 months earlier, our company had started noticing discrepancies in our government billing. Small amounts at first, easy to dismiss. Then bigger, patterned, intentional. We hadn't panicked. We hadn't confronted anyone. We called the FBI quietly. They suspected an inside job. But suspicion isn't enough. They needed proof. Clean, undeniable proof. So they had me create what looked like a hidden offshore account. Fake transaction history, fake shell layers, funds that appeared skimmed. Everything about it screamed illegal. It was monitored 24 hours a day, and Melissa had just walked straight into it. I typed a response with deliberate calm. Bold move. Then I didn't say anything else. Instead, I called Special Agent Rodriguez. "Hey," I said when he picked up. "Remember that bait account you had me set up?" "Yes." "Someone just took the whole thing." There was a pause on the other end. "Someone took $800,000 from a federally monitored account?" "My business partner," I said. "She texted me about it. Bragged." Another pause. "Screenshot already sent to your email," I added. This time, the silence was longer. "Jesus Christ," Rodriguez finally said. "Do not contact her again. Do not warn her." Wouldn't dream of it. I hung up and set my phone face down on the table. Greg exhaled slowly, like someone trying to process reality. "This is insane," he muttered. "This is karma." Melissa had been pushing for a buyout for months, demanding far more than her stake justified. When I refused, she got ugly, accused me of hiding assets, threatened to report me for suspicious financial activity unless I paid her off. She'd hired a private investigator. He found the account. She thought she'd hit the jackpot. Better yet, she believed I couldn't report it without admitting to tax evasion. What she didn't know was that the money wasn't mine. It wasn't even real. It was federal bait. And now her digital fingerprints were everywhere. At 11:45 a.m., Greg poured himself a scotch. I didn't stop him. 3 days later, Melissa's entitlement went from criminal to theatrical. Friday morning, she strutted into the office like she owned the place, announced she'd be transitioning to pursue other opportunities. She threw herself a goodbye party, on company time, with company money. "Don't worry about Danielle," she told the staff. "She's fully supportive. We've worked out a very generous severance." She ordered catering, hired a photographer, even started packing up furniture. I smiled, I nodded, and I said nothing, because the FBI had told me to let her dig, and Melissa had never known when to stop. By Friday afternoon, Melissa had fully rewritten history, not quietly, not carefully, publicly. She told anyone who would listen that she and I had reached a mutual understanding, that I'd recognized her true value and agreed to support her next chapter. She said it with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The office buzzed with confusion. People stopped me in the hallway, hesitant, unsure which version of reality they were supposed to accept. "You okay with all this?" one project manager whispered. "I'm fine," I said, and I meant it. Because beneath the surface chaos, everything was unfolding exactly as the FBI wanted. Melissa ordered over $500 worth of catering for her impromptu farewell party. She posed for photos like a woman graduating from something she believed she'd conquered. At one point, I watched her drag a rolling suitcase toward the elevator. "What's that?" I asked lightly. "My chair," she said. "The ergonomic one. You told me I could take it." "I don't remember that," I replied. She smiled tightly. "You were distracted." I let it go. That night, Rodriguez texted me. "She's escalating." Good. Let her. Saturday morning, she crossed a line that even surprised me. She sent a mass email to all our clients from her company account, which we hadn't disabled yet, per FBI request. The subject line read, "An exciting new chapter." She announced her new consulting firm, painted herself as a visionary breaking free from corporate stagnation. Then came the dagger. After uncovering concerning financial irregularities during my tenure as partner, I've decided to branch out on my own. I look forward to serving you with the integrity and transparency you deserve. She was implying I was corrupt, poaching clients while smearing me. The irony almost hurt. Within minutes, my inbox exploded. Clients asking questions, carefully worded, concerned. I forwarded everything to Rodriguez. "She's creating evidence," he replied. Then came social media, LinkedIn posts, Instagram stories, Facebook photos, Melissa at a Mercedes dealership, grinning beside a fully loaded S-Class. Sometimes you have to bet on yourself. New beginnings. Female entrepreneur. She leased the car with stolen federal bait money. She tagged the dealership. She tagged the city. She tagged the moment. By Monday morning, her entitlement had reached a level that bordered on parody. I arrived at the office to find movers in the lobby. They were loading furniture. My furniture. The conference room table. The espresso machine. Framed artwork from my office wall. "What's going on?" I asked. One of the movers glanced at his clipboard. "We're here for Melissa. She said you agreed." I said 2 words. "You're not." They stopped immediately. Melissa called me seconds later, screaming, "We had a deal, Danielle." "We absolutely did not." "I have messages proving you agreed. Send them to my lawyer." "You don't want to play hardball with me," she hissed. "I know about your little account. I'm counting on it." She hung up. Within an hour, her new lawyer sent a cease and desist letter accusing me of harassment and sabotage. They demanded I transfer her rightful share of several patents we'd filed, patents that belonged to the company, not her. The letter also warned that she'd file a whistleblower complaint about my offshore tax evasion if I didn't comply within 48 hours. Perfect. She was documenting extortion. Rodriguez called that afternoon. "She's using the stolen funds. We're tracking every penny." "She hired movers," I said, "for my office." There was a pause. This might be the dumbest criminal I've ever surveilled. "She's also posting everything on Instagram." He laughed. "When's her next big move?" I didn't have to answer. Melissa had sent out invitations. Her first board meeting through LinkedIn, Thursday, 6 p.m., downtown high-rise. She'd tagged the location. Invited potential investors, clients she was trying to poach, even a local news crew. She wanted witnesses. I almost felt bad. Almost. By Thursday morning, Rodriguez kept me updated in real time. 1:45 p.m. Team in position. 1:55 p.m. Subject is live streaming her intro speech. "She's comparing herself to Elizabeth Holmes," he texted, "but as a success story." 3:10 p.m. Moving in. I wasn't there, but I've seen the footage. Multiple angles, Melissa was mid-PowerPoint explaining her revolutionary consulting methodology, which was just our company's existing processes with new names. Then they walked in. 6 federal agents, FBI windbreakers. No subtlety, no hesitation. The live stream caught everything. Melissa Hartley, one agent said, "You're under arrest for wire fraud, theft of government property, and violation of the Federal Computer Fraud and Abuse Act." She froze, then tried to run, in heels, on marble floors. She made it maybe 10 feet before slipping and crashing into her presentation board. As they cuffed her, she screamed, "This is a setup. Danielle Martinez is the real criminal. Check her offshore accounts." One agent looked at her and said, almost kindly, "Ma'am, the account you stole from is the evidence." The live stream cut off seconds later. According to the news crew she'd invited, Melissa fainted in front of her potential investors. That night, the story ran everywhere. Local businesswoman arrested during launch event. They even showed her Instagram post about betting on herself. But it didn't end there. From jail, her older sister Emma called me. "Danielle, this is obviously a misunderstanding," she said. "Melissa was joking. You know her sense of humor." "She texted me about stealing money," I replied. "The FBI doesn't think it's funny. You set her up. That's entrapment." "No," I said calmly. "Entrapment would be if I told her to steal it. She found it, took it, bragged about it." "She'll sue you." "With what money? The FBI froze her assets." Emma hung up. 20 minutes later, her husband emailed me offering to mediate for a $50,000 finder's fee. I forwarded that to Rodriguez too. The aftermath had begun, and it was only getting louder. By the time the handcuffs clicked shut, Melissa Hartley's version of reality had completely collapsed. But entitlement doesn't vanish just because consequences arrive. It mutates. The morning after her arrest, every major local outlet replayed the same clip on a loop. Melissa, mid-speech, frozen in disbelief, heels skidding across marble, her carefully rehearsed confidence dissolving into panic. The headline was merciless. "Startup launch ends in FBI arrest." By noon, the clip had reached national business blogs. LinkedIn was brutal. The comment sections were worse. "Bold strategy. Bet on yourself, straight to federal prison. This is why you don't steal from the government." I watched none of it live. Rodriguez sent me screenshots instead. Short messages, clinical. She fainted after the stream cut. Yes, in front of investors. Yes, the news crew she invited. By Monday morning, Melissa had been transferred out of county lockup. Federal charges move fast when the evidence is this clean. That didn't stop her from trying to reach me. The first call came through as a collect call. I declined it. The second, declined. The third went to voicemail. Her voice came through tinny and distorted. "Danielle, please. I was just taking what I deserved. 8 years. You owe me. I can explain everything." I deleted it. Her public defender contacted my attorney that afternoon. They tried to frame it as a business dispute gone wrong. Suggested we settle, quietly. Claimed Melissa had been confused about the nature of the account. The prosecutor shut that down in one sentence. "Stealing from a federal investigation account is not a misunderstanding." Then came Emma. Again. This time, she didn't bother pretending it was a mistake. "You manipulated federal resources to destroy her," she accused. "Do you have any idea what this is doing to our family?" "She stole federal money," I replied, on camera. "She's a victim of corporate bullying." Emma launched a GoFundMe titled "Help Melissa Fight Corporate Abuse." She raised just over $3,000 before the platform shut it down for fraud. Apparently, lying about federal charges violates their terms. Melissa's mother showed up the following week. Dorothy Hartley, 71 years old. Security called me to the lobby. She stood there clutching her purse like a weapon, eyes sharp with righteous fury. "You need to fix this," she said. "Tell them it was a misunderstanding." "Dorothy," I said evenly. "She stole from the FBI." She was taking what you owed her. I owed her nothing. She's a single mother. She has no children. She has diabetes. She does not. Her voice cracked, then hardened. Her father would be ashamed of you. Her father called me to apologize. That one landed. Dorothy tried a new tactic. I'll give you my house, she whispered. Just make this go away. I can't, I said. She committed a federal crime. Then you should have warned her it was a trap. That would defeat the purpose of a trap. She left screaming about lawsuits and elder abuse as security escorted her out. Meanwhile, the company stabilized. Actually, no, it improved. The clients Melissa had tried to poach were horrified by the arrest footage. Several increased their contracts. 2 new government agencies reached out, citing our cooperation with federal investigators as a deciding factor. Rodriguez called me with an update. They found evidence she'd been skimming from your contracts for 2 years, he said. She was the original thief. So the honeypot wasn't even necessary. It caught her for a different crime, he replied. But it still caught her. The Mercedes dealership contacted us next. They wanted their S-Class back. Melissa had hidden it. Somewhere, they hired a bounty hunter, a real one, for a leased luxury car she'd paid for with stolen federal money. 3 weeks later, Melissa accepted a plea deal. 7 years in federal prison. 3 years supervised release. Restitution totaling $1.3 million. At sentencing, she stood up and gave a speech about systemic bias against strong women in business. The judge, also a woman, was unmoved. This isn't bias, she said. This is consequence. But even after sentencing, the entitlement lingered. Emma sent me an invoice for emotional damages. Total, $2.8 million. My lawyer responded with a cease and desist, so beautifully written it bordered on art. It included the phrase, frivolous to the point of sanctionable conduct. Tony, Emma's husband, tried one last move. He offered to buy Melissa's company shares for $1. My lawyer explained that her shares would be liquidated at fair market value to pay restitution, about $400,000. Tony threatened to report me to the Better Business Bureau. The BBB declined to get involved. Dorothy started a blog, Justice for Melissa. It has 4 readers. All family. She sends me the links daily from new email addresses. Melissa called me one final time before being transferred to federal prison. I accepted. I hope you're happy, she said, voice shaking. I made one mistake. You ruined my life. You stole $800,000, I replied, and tried to destroy my business. It was your illegal account. It was the FBI's. You should have told me. That would have defeated the purpose. She started crying then, angry tears. You were supposed to pay me off, she said. That's how this works. There was no deal, I said. Just crimes. She hung up. 6 years and 8 months left. I promoted her assistant, Naomi, to partner. Her first question, can I frame the FBI appreciation letter? Rodriguez sent me a bottle of scotch with a note. Thanks for the easiest conviction of my career. And the clip, still floating around the internet. Melissa's mugshot became a meme in our industry. Captioned, when you steal from the FBI's account thinking it's your partner's secret stash. I'm back in my office now, sipping coffee from the machine she tried to steal, looking at the artwork she claimed was hers. Sometimes, karma doesn't need help. Sometimes, karma wears an FBI windbreaker and walks into the live-streamed board meeting you scheduled yourself. That's not revenge, that's consequences. 2 months after Melissa Hartley was transferred to federal prison, something unexpected happened. Silence, not peace. Silence. The kind that settles after a storm has finished destroying everything it came for and has nothing left to take. For weeks, my days had been filled with noise, calls, emails, legal filings, media requests, family members of a woman who had detonated her own life, insisting I somehow owed them repair work. Then, slowly, the noise thinned out. Melissa's sentencing made everything official. 7 years. Federal time. No ambiguity left to argue over. The courtroom had been packed that day. Not with supporters. Curiosity. Former clients. A few investors who'd nearly written her checks. People who wanted to see what entitlement looked like when it finally ran out of air. Melissa stood straighter than I expected, still defiant, still convinced she was the smartest person in the room. When the judge finished reading the charges and restitution amount, $1.3 million, Melissa's mouth tightened, but she didn't cry. Not yet. She asked to speak. She talked about systemic barriers, about how ambitious women were punished for confidence, about betrayal by someone she'd trusted for 8 years. She didn't say my name. She didn't have to. The judge listened, patiently, carefully. Then she leaned forward. "Miss Hartley," she said, "you didn't make a mistake. You made a series of deliberate choices. You stole from a federal investigation. You used those funds for personal gain. You attempted extortion. You tried to damage a business partner's reputation. This court is not punishing ambition. It is addressing crime." Melissa's shoulders finally slumped. That was the moment. Not the arrest, not the headlines, not the memes. That. Afterward, her family tried one last wave of interference. Emma escalated her invoice to $3.2 million. Same reasoning, bigger numbers, less logic. Tony launched a YouTube channel about corporate corruption. 12 subscribers, all bots. Dorothy emailed me links to her blog daily, sometimes twice. She titled one post, "How Powerful Women Silence Other Women." Another, "The FBI as a Tool of Patriarchy." I blocked her. She found new addresses. Eventually, even that slowed, because there was nothing left to argue with. The Mercedes turned up in a storage facility outside the city. Melissa had handed the keys to a friend for safekeeping. That friend is now being investigated for receiving stolen property. The car was repossessed. The office space Melissa rented for her launch sued her estate for breach of contract. The clients she tried to poach won't say her name out loud. As for the company, we're thriving. The publicity was strange at first, uncomfortable. But government agencies talk to each other. Cooperation matters. Transparency matters. 3 new federal contracts came through within 6 weeks. One agency specifically cited our willingness to assist in an internal investigation as a deciding factor. I promoted Naomi officially. She's brilliant, ethical, calm in the way people are when they don't need to cut corners to feel powerful. Her first act as partner, she asked to frame the FBI appreciation letter and hang it in the conference room. I said yes. One afternoon, a familiar number flashed across my phone. "Collect call." I hesitated. Then I accepted. "Danielle," Melissa said. Her voice was different now, quieter, stripped of performance. "I just wanted you to know I'm doing all right." "I'm glad," I said. "You didn't have to do this," she added. "I didn't," I replied. "You did." There was a pause. "You found my account," she said. "You were supposed to pay me off. That's how these things work." "That was never how it worked," I said. She exhaled sharply, angry tears, the same ones she'd cried the day she was arrested. "I hate you," she said. Noted. She hung up. 6 years and 8 months left. Rodriguez stopped by the office one afternoon without warning. No suit, no badge, just coffee in hand. "Thought I'd see how the easiest conviction of my career was doing," he said. He left a bottle of scotch on my desk. I didn't open it right away. I sat there instead. In the same office Melissa once tried to empty, drinking coffee from the espresso machine she claimed I'd agreed she could take. Looking at the artwork she swore was hers. Outside, the company moved on. Meetings, deadlines, growth. The internet hasn't. Melissa's mugshot still circulates. Someone photoshopped it beside her Instagram caption from the Mercedes dealership. "Bet on yourself." The comments underneath are brutal. Dorothy still blogs. Emma still sends invoices. Tony still threatens reports no one cares about. And me? I'm still here. Still running the company we built, minus the person who tried to steal it from the inside. Sometimes people ask if I regret not warning her, if I feel guilty. I don't. Because karma doesn't need help. Sometimes karma is just 6 federal agents walking into the live-streamed board meeting you scheduled yourself, Using money you stole from a government honeypot you thought was someone else's secret. That's not revenge, that's consequence. And consequence is beautiful when it finally arrives on time.